From killing with a baseball to attacking someone's grandpa. Here are 10 of the scariest players in MLB history. Starting with a bulldozer of a player, Chase Utley. Chase Utley is every second baseman's nightmare with the way he slides. That's why the Mets hate him so much, and Ruben Tejada especially.
At second base, Chase Utley going in strong to take out Ruben Tejada.
Back in 2010, he was trying to stop Tejada from converting a double play the only way he knew how. This riled up the Mets players, and third baseman David Wright had to say, "There's a thin line between going out there and playing the game hard and going out there trying to get somebody hurt." A year later, he did the same thing to Ryan Theriot of the Cardinals.
Bad roller to short, over to second for one, no throw to first base as Utley.
At this rate, it wasn't a question of if someone would get hurt, but when. And in a twisted episode of Deja Vu, Utley, now a Dodger, was playing in a game against the Mets. He would find himself charging to second base with Tejada on it. Ouch! Now that's gotta leave a mark, and it did. It took Tejada a year and a half to fully recover from that injury. He also never spoke to Utley again because of that slide. Utley may be snapping ankles, but this next player was trying to take people's heads off. Imagine being so deadly with your pitching that you're nicknamed Senor Plunk. With the way Pedro Martinez was throwing fastballs at players, you would think he was attempting homicide. Worse, there were no accidents. Nah, every hit was planned and calculated. As he even said, "I'm not afraid of hitting anyone because I can put the ball where I want to." And as you would imagine, this would sometimes lead to serious brawls involving the dugout.
And a huge pile out in the middle of the field. Here come the bullpen.
The Hall of Famer threw hands just as well as he threw fastballs, and his fists were rated E for everyone, including then 72-year-old Yankees bench coach Don Zimmer. Hurting someone's grandpa is a jerk thing to do, but sometimes he's more of an avenger than a jerk. Just like when Roger Clemens drilled Kevin Millar, Martinez had the Yankees on his hit list, literally. But while Martinez was intentionally dangerous, this next guy just couldn't help but have the league scared for their lives no matter how hard he tried not to. Nobody has more strikeouts in the history of baseball than Nolan Ryan. With 5,714 career strikeouts, it looks like no one's breaking that record anytime soon. His pitches were so fast and powerful that he sacrificed his control. And you know what that means? Plenty of walk-offs. 2,795 of them to be precise, all shared between 158 different batters. Despite the hits not being intentional, he made any hitter who charged him regret it instantly. Robin Ventura can tell you how that went. Despite his inaccuracy, he was still a ferocious pitcher. He even made players give up on a hit before stepping up to the plate. When Norm Cash showed a lackluster attitude at the plate, he said he knew he wasn't going to hit the ball.
Ryan waits for Cash. Cash wants perhaps a lighter bat. Okay, Cash walked up there with an old board bat. That wasn't a bat at all. It looked like an old fungo.
Nolan Ryan's lack of control is what made him scary. But this next person had so much control that when he held a baseball, it was as good as someone pointing a loaded firearm at you. Randy Johnson's pitches were so lethal that he never had a gun in his house. All he needed was a healthy left arm and a bag full of baseballs. When I say his pitches are capable of taking someone's life, I'm not exaggerating. Back in 2001 during spring training, a bird flew right into the path of Johnson's pitch and burst into a cloud of feathers. I'm sure Johnson could give John Wick a run for his money. But my deepest sympathies go to the hitters who had to face this 6'10" giant with cannons for arms. If his eephus pitch wasn't striking players out, his demeanor was. Even the best hitters in the league were terrified of Randy Johnson. In the 1993 All-Star Game, Johnson's pitch over Cook's head threw him off his game, and he didn't register a hit. Rather, he was grateful his head was still on his body.
Fanning himself off. Johnson has had pitches clocked at as much as 102 miles per hour in Major League play.
Now this ball obviously just getting away from him, but watch the reaction of John Kruk. Would you say he is...
With 4,875 strikeouts in his 22-year career, I don't know what's scarier, his numbers or his fastballs. But none of that is as scary as this next player. He hails from a country notorious for nuclear weapons, and let's just say his pitches are also ballistic.
That had to hurt.
If people are using names like missile and flamethrower as metaphors to describe a pitcher, you should know just how they feel about him. No one in the history of the MLB has thrown a faster fastball than Aroldis Chapman's 105.8 miles per hour rocket back in 2010. He even has a flaming baseball tattooed on his arm. I'm certain that this dude had hitters wetting their pants at the plate. Andrew McCutchen even described playing against Chapman as simply unfair. In 2014, he recorded the highest strikeouts per 9 innings in a season with 17.54. Apart from the numbers, the silverware speaks for itself. A World Series title isn't a joke, let alone 2. Chapman owes many of the things he achieved to himself. But you see this next player, he was turned into a monster by no other person than his mother. If the MLB wants to blame anyone for how badly Cabrera terrorized the league with his batting, it's his mom. Mrs. Cabrera was one of Venezuela's top softball players, and let's just say she turned her son into a monster anytime he held the bat. And the rest is history. As one of 3 players with 500 homers, 3,000 hits, and a 300 average alongside Hank Aaron and Willie Mays, he's the only one among them with a triple crown. Former Reds designated hitter Joey Votto summed up Cabrera best when he said, "He was for a stretch there in the conversation for the best hitter in the game. He's also a champion, and he's played on winning teams and been at the core." This is why opponents hated facing off against Cabrera, even though he wasn't plunking their heads. This next player, however, was so scary with his plays, they had to launch an investigation on him. I talk of Bond, Barry Bond. Standing at 6'1" and over 180 pounds, Bond didn't need a costume if he had to be the Giants' mascot. When Barry Bond was in his heyday, a home run from him was as sure as snow during winter. In the 2001 season, he racked an impressive 73 home runs, breaking the previous record of 70 in 1998. And with the most career home runs with 762, how is this dude not a Hall of Famer? Simple, he cheated by getting the help of an item not allowed in the league. Well, at least he faced the consequences of his actions. This next player did not. Albert Bell was a demon on the plate. A talent-deprived Cleveland Guardian team that hadn't made the playoffs in almost half a century tasted postseason ball once again, courtesy of some Albert Bell heroics. Bell was so good that the Guardians didn't mind putting up with his trouble, just so they could keep him. Their front desk must have had a lot of patience because Bell is one heck of a pain in the ass. Having altercations with reporters, breaking items in the clubhouse at any inconvenience, I'm sure the Cleveland front office was grateful any day they didn't have to deal with Bell's rage. Speaking of rage, best believe he saved some for opponents as well. Just take a look at the way he crushed Vina to stop a double play.
Oh, this is just like the play in the 3rd inning. And it was Albert Bell back in the 3rd inning. This time he lays it on Vina even more so.
Despite his crazy antics, he received minor fines and was still the highest paid MLB star at some point. I guess you get away with a lot of things when you're just that good. He may have retired over 2 decades ago, but there's a current player who will remind you a lot of him, and that's Bryce Harper. With an ego the size of a ballpark, he's the Kanye West of baseball. Given his LeBron-level hype in baseball, he had one heck of a rookie season. Winning the Rookie of the Year in the National League, he also became an all-star as well. But along with his talent came his temperament.
Well, Bryce is gone, you know that. The helmet, the bat, and Mike Winters tossed him immediately. 1 out, bottom of the 10th.
And Bryce saying, "You got to be kidding me." And then Papelbon went right after Harper.
By the age of 27, he already had 14 career ejections. Salty attitude towards umpires and opponents, this dude was more hated than he was feared. Even when he was voted the most overrated player in 2015, he went on to have a historic MVP season. Bryce Harper's reputation proves that sometimes there's a thin line between fear and hate. Nevertheless, this list wouldn't be complete without Bambino himself, who is feared for nothing else aside from his greatness. We're talking about the all-time leader in slugging percentage and OPS, the 4th best all-time ERA with 30 postseason innings with .87. If he was pitching or batting, he definitely wasn't going to make it easy for anyone he faced. Babe Ruth wasn't just feared, he was revered. That's why when the Baseball Hall of Fame became a thing in 1936, Babe Ruth was among the first to get inducted. There you have it, guys. 10 of the scariest players to ever play in the MLB. Who do you think is the scariest of them all? Let us know in the comment section, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing ones like this one.